Kieran, let's round this out like we always do, and we'll do some slaps on the wrist and some slaps on the backs for some championship owners. Obviously, you've mentioned Knighthead Capital and the gorgeous Ryan and Rob joining the division to give us some little bit of a Hollywood sprinkle. Let me just start out by this, though, Kieran, that you, probably like me, were very interested in the championship relegation zone last year because two of our gold star, Plymouth and Luton, were relegated. Okay, we missed the town at Cardiff. He was down the other end there. But well-run clubs get relegated, don't they, Kieran?
Yeah, I mean, Plymouth Argyle I think they had the second lowest losses in the championship in season 23-24, and it now looks as if there's going to be new external investment as far as the club is concerned. Therein lies the paradox of football. A well-run business doesn't necessarily transform into a successful football club. Newcastle United under Mike Ashley was a well-run business. It made profits most years. Didn't touch the sides as far as challenging for trophies are concerned, and anybody saw the excitement and joy that was on Tyneside when Newcastle United won the Carabao Cup. Saying, okay, well, yeah, it's me going, well, they lost a lot of money. Yeah, look here, the accountants here saying things aren't as good as they used to be. And the Geordie Nation are going, now stuff that, Kieran. We're having a party. And to be fair to them, they did say, and you're invited too. So they're very kind. So that there is that inbuilt tension as far as the industry is concerned. And that causes problems. Plymouth ran a tight ship off the field. That they made mistakes in terms of recruiting coaches. The Wayne Rooney experiment apparently didn't work. And yet he could have turned it around in another 4 games for all we know. Anybody that's ever dealt with Wayne will say that he's a pretty astute guy. He gets a really bad press because he is the last street footballer of England, and people assess him on that. And also, management it's 95% luck, 5% ability, and that comes from Pep Guardiola. The luck comes from having the biggest budget in football. The ability is making those marginal gains to players. So Plymouth Argyle had one of the lowest budgets. They were relegated. As far as Luton Town is concerned, and I know some fairly high-profile Luton Town fans, I think it's fair to say there has been a breakdown in the relationship between the board and the fan base.
That's a shame.
The balance of what they were going to do with the monies that had been generated from the Premier League, because they didn't spend money in the Premier League. The average Luton Town wage, and again, let's get out the world's smallest violin here. They were only averaging £25,000 a week. It's not worth getting out of bed for that, but that reflects upon the ability or the talent of the players that they were recruiting. They only spent £28 million signing players in season 23-24, which was by far the lowest of any club in the Premier League. And if you're coming from League One, Championship, Premier League, and you're not investing in players, then I think they did well to avoid being further down in the Premier League. But last season was an absolute disaster. They were in receipt of £45 million worth of parachute payments. I expect Luton will have made substantial profits last season. This season, they will be in receipt of £36 million worth of parachute payments. The average club in League One will earn 1.8 million from TV. So Luton Town will get 20 times as much TV money as
Bolton.
Rotherham, Bolton, whoever it may be.
Wow. Let's go through some other names before we get to Wrexham and Birmingham. Are we giving our normal slaps on the back to, I don't know, Doug King, the Berylson family at Millwall, Mr. Gibson at Middlesbrough? They're normally on our thumbs up radar, aren't they?
Yeah, and Steve at Bristol City as well. These people that put in somewhere between 10 to 20 million pounds a year, effectively running clubs as glorified hobbies. Not, it is run as a business, but I don't know what your hobbies are, Ben, but mine all cost me money. But that's just part of it. You accept that. And the rewards are intangible rather than financial. So, yes, Steve Gibson, every year he finds that 300 grand a week because he's a borough boy, and he's been a very generous owner. Preston, Millwall, Bristol City, they've all put their hands in their pockets on a regular basis during the season. And the reaction of fans is mixed. I think fans these days are a little bit more street savvy and aware that their club is losing money. The comment I get most of all is that they spent the money badly. Nobody intends to sign useless centre forwards. That's all I would say. And what you perceive to be talent, there's 100 different factors that go into making a footballer a success at an individual club, and the transfer fee is one of those 100. It's getting a handle on the other 99 that's critical.
I'm very interested. We will get to Birmingham and Wrexham. I'm very interested in Mr. Ilachali at Hull, because we can look at owners. A, does the club win? B, like you've just said, are they benevolent? C, do they make a profit? And I'm sure nobody ticks all those three boxes across the whole 92. And Mr. Ilachali has removed managers, and obviously Liam Rossini went out and is doing better, and the guy he replaced him with completely bombed, and then he replaced him with someone else, and now he's gone as well, and he's got the job at Sheffield United, etc. And we've got another guy I've not heard of, but seems to be pretty aggressive in the transfer market every season. Is this guy just going to get it right at one point, get the right manager, or are you a little bit? Where are you placing Mr. Ilachali and Hull?
I mean, this then becomes sort of a football answer, not necessarily a football finance answer. There is a belief in society, and it's not one that I necessarily hold myself, that change is the same as improvement. And I think we fall into that trap, that mantra, as football fans, and sometimes club owners do as well. If I change the manager, things will improve. No, if you change the manager, things will change.
I used to work with a producer in my musician days who used to say, Ben, it's not better, it's just different. Yeah. You can turn the guitars up another 2 dB. Well, it's no better. Carry on.
And in my view, that's the position that we have as far as Hull City are concerned. Yes, he has put the money in. Hull City were losing 350 grand a week, and he's not the old owners, so he did have a wave of goodwill because the previous owners were very unpopular.
Right.
Yeah. To put it mildly, and I'm just looking at my numbers here, and Hull were paying £139 in wages for every £100 that came through the door. They certainly had spent decent money by Championship standards. They'd spent £8 or £9 million, and that's certainly higher than the median spend. I was a bit disappointed with the sacking of Liam, mainly because I've had the privilege of meeting Liam, and he's come across as one of the most smart thinking coaches that I've met. And this sounds glib. He and I were doing a show together at Sky, and he was just chatting in the canteen beforehand. And I'll be honest, Ben, I learned more about football tactically and technically in that 45 minutes than I have from watching football for 45 years
There you go.
as a fan. Um, and he was sacked. And there was a viewpoint taken by the whole fan base that he was well backed by the owner, and he was.
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
Um, that not just transfers but also the loan market, and he was. Was it too little, too late? How long does it take to turn around a tanker? And that's what you are dealing with the football club. And you've only got to look at his success this season. I think he's a very good man manager. But again, it goes back to the one man that you need to manage most of all in a football club is not your centre forward, it's your owner.
There you go. Right, let's round this out because we're coming out the hour. The owners, everyone's going to be looking at Birmingham and Wrexham. It's going to be a lot of fun, isn't it?
Yes, it's going to be box office. I think the new series of Welcome to Wrexham is just about to come out on.
I was on the last one predicting they weren't going to finish in the top 6 last year, so they mugged me off good and proper.
I feel duty bound to say that I'm followed by Ryan on Twitter, which
okay.
for somebody that teaches accounting for a living is about as surreal as it can be. So they will be very competitive. We've seen Paul Mullins already, a player who I think is a hero to many Wrexham fans, and certainly a central part to Welcome to Wrexham. Well, he's been shown the door. Mark Douan, effectively, I think he's being sent out on loan next season.
Got to Wigan,
yeah, and that's an early move. So they've been linked with every Premier League
every
footballer,
aging famous player in the world. Yeah.
If you're over 32 and you've appeared on Sky Sports on a Sunday afternoon, we've probably got your number. So I think it will be a fascinating season. I think it will be a really tough job for the manager, because now you are having to deal with football clubs who last season spent over £100 million on players. And this is not a criticism of your club, Ben, at all. I looked at the players that Ipswich Town signed and I said, that squad's been put together in terms of a promotion push in 25-26 more than a survival squad for 24-25. And so therefore they're in a strong position. Southampton, they've had some tough times. Southampton are still pretty sizable. You look at some of the players still there, they've got some. So it is going to be that much tougher. You're up against Derby County, who get 30,000. You're up against Sheffield, the 2 Sheffield teams. You're up against Borough, and so on. So, Wrexham have been the biggest fish in the pond for certainly National League and League Two, and then they were the second biggest fish in the pond in terms of following Birmingham City Football Club in League One. Next year, gloves are really off, and I think it will be a fascinating season stroke series as far as the club is concerned. You've got to give the people there some credit, including Sean Harvey. And
I've never thought I'd hear you say that.
I always try to be as objective as I can. I'm still very proud that my Sean Harvey appreciation thread that I put up on Twitter about 5 years ago went viral at the time, as did the hashtag. Just as well, it wasn't the Sean Harvey information thread. Could have been worse. For those of you that love your acronyms. I think it will be intriguing. It will be tough. They are now dealing with a completely different beast.
And just round it out, I'm an Ipswich fan. I'm not looking forward to going away to Birmingham in round one. As you said, that club is united, and I don't think anyone would be that surprised if they were pretty high up the league next season with Knighthead behind them.
Um, yes, they do have Knighthead behind them, but they also have the intricacies of PSR. Birmingham City will have lost a fortune in League One last season.
But the rules are different in League One than in the Championship, aren't they?
Yes, but in the Championship, you are assessed over your last 3 seasons, regardless of the division. So Birmingham will be limited in terms of their allowable losses. I anticipate if you're signing players for £15 million in the third tier of English football, you're paying them accordingly. I fully anticipate Birmingham City's wage bill to be the highest wage bill in the history of League One. And it will be causing a ripple effect in terms of their ability to spend money this season. Having said that, as you
got 111 points, Kieran.
Yeah, and if they hadn't, that would have been a pretty poor show.
Maybe, yeah.
It was a bit like the success of Celtic when Rangers had been booted out of the Scottish Premiership. If they didn't win that league by at least 30 points, then really they weren't trying hard enough. Hi, it's Kieran Maguire here. Thanks very much for watching that clip. If you want to watch the full episode, click on the link.